Dear friends, we are in income tax subject. We are in first chapter of income tax subject. In the previous class, we have learnt about the syllabus and we have started first unit, that is introduction to income tax. In introduction to income tax, we have completed the meaning of tax. Okay, tax, the concept, characteristic features of tax we have seen. We have already discussed. And we discussed that taxes are generally, majorly classified into two types. One is direct tax and the other one is indirect tax. So we have discussed in a previous class about direct tax. What are the advantages of direct taxes? What are the disadvantages of direct taxes? That is pros and cons. Pros means advantages, cons means disadvantages. That we have discussed. Today, we will discuss about indirect taxes. If time permits, we will discuss about canons of taxation. Okay. Now you see, these are the 5 units that we have to deal with. These are the characteristic features and definition of tax. Three criteria of tax we have discussed. And the types of taxes. In types of taxes, direct taxes we have discussed yesterday. This is the classification of tax for our class purpose. Okay. Pros means advantages. Disadvantages also we have discussed. Now we discuss indirect tax, advantages of indirect tax. Indirect taxes, advantages. See, indirect tax in yesterday's class, in the previous class, we have discussed. Indirect tax means a mediator will be there. He or she, the mediator, will pay tax on behalf of the customer to the government. In such a case, those taxes are known as indirect taxes. I mentioned the example of GST, Goods and Services Tax. In the previous class, we have discussed about notebook also. One of your friends has purchased notebook for 30 rupees. And in the 30 rupees, 5 rupees will be GST. So in such a case, that type of tax is known as indirect tax. See, the advantages of indirect taxes. Even poor person can contribute to the development of the country. See, in case of direct taxes, in the previous class, we have discussed only 1% of the population is paying direct tax, that is income tax in the country. Remaining 99%, they are not at all paying income tax because they are poor. Whereas in case of indirect tax, so they are not contributing to the development of the country because they are not paying direct tax. Even the poor person can also contribute to the development of the country by paying income tax, indirect tax. Okay, everybody can contribute to the development of the country by paying indirect tax. Knowingly or unknowingly, we pay tax because we do not know how much we are paying. On behalf of us, shopkeeper will pay, the shopper will pay, the seller will pay. So everybody, whoever is living in the country, will contribute to the development of the country. Similarly, in the previous class, we have discussed a person, if a person is forced to pay income tax or forced to pay direct tax, he will feel because only 1% of the population is paying direct tax, whereas 99% of the population is not at all paying direct tax. So they feel inconvenient. But indirect taxes, in case of indirect tax, we do not know how much we are paying. Simply we purchase goods and we bring it to the house. That's all. So unknowingly, we happen to pay indirect tax. So that is why they are very convenient because we do not know. If we know means we will feel this much tax we are paying, but we do not know. So that is why it is very, very convenient for the tax payer. Okay. So similarly, these taxes are broad-based. Broad-based means they include everybody. Means all aspects of social and economic life is going to be impacted with the help of indirect tax. Means I already mentioned everybody, even a poor person can contribute to the tax revenues of the government. So these taxes are going to be spread over a wide range of goods and services. Okay, so that is why these taxes are broad-based. They include everybody. Everything in the society is included in these indirect taxes. Similarly, these are very, very easy to collect because, see, the tax authorities will collect tax from shopkeepers or producers. That's all. They will not collect tax from individual customers because customers will be crores, will be in crores, whereas shopkeepers, producers will be in lakhs. So it is easy to collect tax from producers or shopkeepers. That is why it is very, very convenient to the taxpayer as well as to the tax authorities. Similarly, in the previous class, I mentioned only government employees are going to be booked directly because they will be caught red-handedly by the government because their payment is made by their salaries are paid, their wages are paid by the government. That is why they cannot evade tax. Whereas all others, majority of the others are not at all paying direct taxes, not at all paying income tax. That is why even though our country's population is 130 crore, only 1 crore or 1 crore 30 lakh, 1 crore 40 lakh people only are paying income tax. Remaining all, even though they are crorepati's, they are evading a tax. I mentioned in the example of a samosa seller in yesterday's class, in the previous class. So direct taxes can be evaded. The persons can skip paying a tax in case of direct tax. Whereas in case of indirect tax, these are non-evadable. We cannot skip indirect taxes because we purchased goods means, we purchased articles means, we have received some service means automatically we are going to pay tax. We cannot escape it because we do not know how much we are paying. Okay. So similarly, these are elastic. So what do you mean by elastic? Elastic means they can be increased. So because see, in economics, so you have various kinds of goods. Necessary goods are there. Necessaries. Wants can be classified as necessaries or luxuries. In economics, you will learn this. You must have learned this. Necessaries, luxuries, like goods are classified like that. So if the government increases a tax on necessary, let us take, for example, on salt, the government has increased tax. Okay. Or on sugar, the government has increased tax. Let us take, for example. Similarly, in case of paddy, or in case of rice, or in case of wheat, the government has increased the tax means automatically revenues will increase for the government. So that is what you mean by saying elastic. You can increase tax on necessaries and more revenue will come to the government. Similarly, these taxes are equitable. Equitable means in the society, all are equal in case of indirect taxes. Because in case of direct taxes, if a rich person is there means he will pay more tax. If a poor person is there means he will not pay any tax in case of direct tax. Whereas in case of indirect tax, even if you go to the shop, the shopkeeper will say only 30 rupees for the notes. Even if I go to the shop, the shopkeeper will sell it for 30 rupees. And in this 30 rupees, I also have to pay 5 rupees as tax. And you also have to pay 5 rupees as tax. So here, rich and poor are equal in case of indirect tax. Okay. Similarly, in case of indirect tax, another great advantage is the government can reduce harmful consumption. What do you mean by harmful consumption? Let us take, for example, smoking is there, cigarette smoking is there. If the government wants the people to consume less cigarettes, then what the government will do? government will increase the tax on cigarettes. Similarly, wines are there. Different kinds of wines, mean whiskey, brandy, or vodka, like various kinds of wines are there. So if the tax is increased on the wines, automatically consumption will reduce. So if the government wants to see to it that the citizens enjoy good health, what the government will do every year in the budget proposals on these kinds of goods which are made of tobacco or which are linked to wines or other intoxicants, means drugs or any other things which are harmful to human beings, the government will increase the tax. So in that way, harmful goods consumption can be reduced by the government. That is a great advantage of indirect tax. Is it clear? Did you understand the advantages of indirect taxes, dear friends? Did you understand?
Sir.
No. Now, disadvantages. See, these are regressive. Indirect taxes are regressive in nature. Regressive means, see here, I mentioned, even a rich man also pays the same tax in indirect tax. Even the poor man also pays the same in tax. So that is what you mean by saying regressive. These taxes are not progressive. In case of progressive, if more richness is there, means more tax a person will pay. Whereas in case of regressiveness means even irrespective of your richness or poorness, you have to pay the same amount of tax to the government. So that is why these are regressive in nature, whereas the direct taxes are progressive. So the tax revenues are uncertain. See, in case of direct taxes, government can estimate correctly. Like, see, government knows every year how much I am going to receive as salary, how much I have to pay tax. The government can calculate easily. Whereas in case of indirect tax, the government cannot calculate properly, easily, because the government is uncertain. Because how much quantity I will consume 1 year and next year how much I will consume, they do not know. Nobody can estimate. This year, in my house, we may consume 50 kgs of rice. Next year, we may consume 30 kgs of rice, or maybe more, or maybe less. So how much tax is involved in that one? Government cannot estimate properly. So there is bound to be uncertainty in case of revenue yield, means revenue generation with respect to indirect tax. Okay. Similarly, in case of with the imposition of indirect taxes, what happens? Prices will increase automatically. See, those who are following news regularly, those who are following newspapers regularly, so they can easily understand. Even petrol prices or diesel prices, every day you can see, almost every week you can see they are increasing, because that product is influenced by various factors. And some say that because it is not included in GST, that is why the price of petroleum products are increasing. So we keep the discussion aside, but the point is, with the imposition of indirect tax, what happens? The prices of commodities, goods will increase. Even the poor man has to pay the same price. The rich man also has to pay the same price and the same tax as well. Okay. So these are uneconomical. What do you mean by uneconomical? In previous class, I mentioned about economical. Economical means it involves less cost. That is economical. Uneconomical means it involves more cost. Collection of indirect tax implies more cost to it involves more cost to the tax collecting authorities. Because in the previous class, I mentioned, in case of direct taxes, there is no broker between government and the taxpayer. There is no mediator. There is no agent. Whereas in case of indirect tax, as the name itself implies, indirectly we are paying the tax to the government. Means mediators are there, brokers are there, shopkeepers are there, sellers are there, purchasers are there, producers are there. from them we have to, the government has to collect tax. So it involves lot of cost. So that is why they are uneconomical. Okay. In the previous class, I mentioned about civic consciousness. Civic consciousness means the taxpayer knows exactly how much he is paying. See, because he is conscious. Means he knows exactly how much he is paying. Whereas in case of indirect taxes, in our example, I mentioned 30 rupees notes. We do not know. I mentioned as 5 rupees GST, but we do not know exactly how much GST is there. So there is no civic consciousness involved in case of indirect taxes. Coming to industries, see, these indirect taxes collection imposition implies the tax is imposed on production, the tax is imposed on circulation or supply, the tax which is imposed on sellers, the tax which is imposed on purchasers. So that means, see, if an industry has to be established in a country, it involves a lot of expenditure. Raw material is required, money is required, machinery is required, men, the accumulation of men is required. Apart from this, those industries, those industrialists have to pay tax to the government. So sometimes if tax is more, in the case of taxes I mentioned, if all taxes are in the hands of, will be decided by the Honorable Finance Minister. Who is our Finance Minister? In the previous class, we discussed who is our Finance Minister?
Nirmala Sitharaman.
Very good.
Nirmala Sitharaman.
Very good. Honorable Nirmala Sitharaman, madam. So if tax is increased, what happens? Though industries will not be established in the country. They will fear, in this country, this much taxes are there, this much tax we have to pay. Why unnecessarily providing capital in this country, establishing industry in this country? We will go to some other country in which less taxes are there or no taxes are there. In certain countries, no taxes are there for production, for purchasing, for selling. So industrialists will think like that. So that is why indirect taxes are harmful to certain industries. So these are the disadvantages and advantages of indirect taxes. Is it clear, my dear students?
Clear, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now before we move to our next topic, that is canons of taxation. So we now, in the previous class, we have discussed about direct taxes. In this class, up to now, we have discussed about indirect taxes. Now let us make a comparison of direct tax and indirect tax. These are the differences between direct taxes and indirect taxes. Okay, these are differences. So in the examination, if they ask you to differentiate between direct tax and indirect tax, you have to mention this. Okay. So, but first of all, you have to define what is direct tax. Means you have to write the definition of direct tax, write the definition of indirect tax. One example you have to give. In direct tax, you will give income tax as example. In indirect tax, what is the example that you are going to give? What is the example for indirect tax?
Goods and
GST,
services.
goods and services tax. This is an indirect tax. Okay. Previously, we used to have VAT, value added tax. But now VAT is not there. In place of VAT, GST has come. Okay. Now see, context. This is the point of difference. In other words, see, it is imposed on, direct tax is imposed on income and profits. So in the previous class, I mentioned I am paying income tax. In the previous class, I mentioned I paid last year 10,000 rupees as income tax. So the tax is imposed on my income. But I am not a businessman. I am not earning any profits. That is just my salary. That is my income. So on income, I paid 10,000 rupees as income tax. So direct taxes are imposed on or levied on income and profits. Whereas in case of indirect tax, they are levied on, they are imposed on all the goods and services. In the name itself, you can see goods and services tax. So indirect taxes are imposed on goods and services. And who pays? In case of direct taxes, individuals and businesses. The business persons also enjoy profits. On their profit, they pay income tax, direct tax. Individuals like me and you, if our income is more, we are bound to pay income tax. That is direct tax. Whereas indirect tax, who is paying? Even though shopkeeper is paying, who is first of all paying that? The customer. We are all paying. Everybody is paying indirect tax. So end consumers. Now, consumer, customer. Are both of them same? Consumers and customers, are both of them same? Or is there any difference? Please tell me. Customer and
Different,
consumer.
sir.
Are both of the same? Is there any
Different,
difference between
sir.
customer and consumer? Now you can chat with me. Is there any difference between customer and consumer?
No, sir.
Both of them same?
Same, sir.
Okay, I will tell one example. I will not agree with you.
Sir,
I do
no,
not
sir.
agree with
Sir,
you.
no, sir. Sir, both are different, sir.
How you tell me with an example? You explain with example.
Sir, consumer. Sir, I will tell you.
You tell in Telugu. If you are unable to explain in English, you explain in Telugu. You can give example in Telugu.
సార్ ఒక వ్యక్తి కొంటాడు సార్, ఒక వ్యక్తి అమ్ముతారు కదా సార్, అందుకనే దానికి కస్టమర్ అంటారు, కన్సూమర్ అంటారు.
No. That is wrong, but very good attempt. Very good. Next, anybody?
Thank you.
Next, anybody? Okay, I will tell the example. Customer is different, consumer is different. See, customer means a purchaser. We are all purchasers. We are all purchase certain things. Okay. So in this class only, I mentioned the example of rice bag. Rice. Okay. This year, in our house, we are purchasing 50 kg of rice. We are consuming 50 kg of rice this year. We are using, I mentioned. Okay. Now you see, I am a customer here. But can I singly consume all 50 kg myself? No. My family members also will eat. They will also consume. Means use. Consumers use a product. Customer will purchase it. So in case of purchasing of rice, I am a customer as well as a consumer. But apart from me, some more consumers are there in my house. Other family members will also consume. So consumer is a person who utilizes, consumes the goods, whereas customer will simply purchase it. Okay. Now I will tell you I will give another example for this. Now let us take, for example, who is that student who gave the example? What is his name? What is your name?
Srinu.
Okay, very good. Srinivas.
Sir.
Okay, after 10 years from now onwards, you will get married. Let us take, for example, your marriage is over. After 10 years, I am saying. Okay. Your wife will give you a single bangle. Okay, it is blue color bangle she will give. And she will ask you to purchase 2 dozens of bangles. One green color and the another color is, let us take, for example, red color. Because you are going to city, your wife is staying in village. You are also staying in village. Every day you come to city and you work here and you will go back to your village. Now you will go to Kangan Hall. You will purchase 2 dozens of bangles, one green, one red set. You are not going to consume, but you are a simple customer there. You will purchase. Your wife will become consumer. Did you understand? Is it clear?
Yes,
Consumer will consume, will use. Customer will simply purchase. Okay. Now, so who pays in case of indirect tax? And consumers, we are going to, everybody is going to be involved in indirect tax. Now, how much we are paying in case of direct tax? It depends on income and profits. If my income is more, means I have to pay more. If my profits are more, means I have to pay more. In case of indirect tax, I mentioned it is same for everyone, even rich and poor. All have to pay the same amount as tax. Transferability. In case of direct tax, I cannot transfer the burden to any other person. I have to pay. There is no broker, there is no agent. Whereas in case of indirect tax, it is transferable. The burden I will transfer to the shopkeeper. On behalf of me, shopkeeper is the broker. He will pay to the government. So I am transferring the payment, the burden of payment. I will not go to the government. Okay. The burden of payment is transferable in case of indirect tax. Tax evasion, I mentioned, it is possible in direct tax. The samosa wala example I told. Whereas in case of indirect tax, it is not possible. All have to pay. Nature, I mentioned it is direct tax are progressive in nature. Means more rich means more tax he has to pay. Less rich means less tax he has to pay. Poor person means nothing to pay. Whereas in case of indirect tax, regressive means all have same for everyone. That is why they are regressive taxes. Collections, see in case of direct taxes, it is very complex procedure. Means complex means, see it is why I am mentioning complex means the evasion, the possibility of evasion is there. Then across the country, several crores of people are living. Exactly calculating, exactly imposing, exactly collecting is very, very difficult in case of direct tax. Whereas in case of indirect tax, only few producers are there, few sellers are there. The government, the tax authorities can collect data from them directly, and it is very, very convenient for the government. The examples, income tax, direct tax example is income tax, and securities transaction tax. Security transaction tax means you all know about shares, debentures, bonds, etc. So on the purchasing and the selling of them also, direct tax you have to pay. So in some cases, in case of indirect tax, the example is the GST. So this is about direct tax, indirect tax, their advantages, disadvantages, that is pros and cons, and the differences between direct taxes and indirect taxes. Is it clear, my dear students? Did you understand, or is there any doubt? Is there any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay, right. Now, in 1776, a great book was written in economics. What is that book? In 1776, in economics, in the history of world economics, a great thing has happened. An economist wrote a wonderful book. What is that book?
Wealth of Nations.
Very good. Very good. Who are you? What is your name?
Suman, sir.
Very good. Very good. See. Okay. We will discuss about wealth of nations in the next few minutes. See why we discussed about taxes, indirect tax, direct tax. Why at all taxes are levied? Because in order to run government requires certain revenue, certain income needs to be there for the government. Why revenue? Why income? See, various expenditures will be there for the government, like defense expenditure, provision of education. You are almost, all of you are getting scholarships. Majority of you are getting scholarships. Okay. So in order to provide education, health, in order to provide infrastructural facilities like roads or dams, government requires money. So that is why taxes are there. Not only from the previous hundreds of years, but these taxes are there from centuries ago, thousands of years ago also taxes are there. So kings used to impose taxes on their citizens, okay, on their subjects rather, okay. Now come to our discussion. I have mentioned about Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations is written by Adam Smith. The Wealth of Nations. Okay. Did you Did you get this? Wealth of Nations was written by Adam Smith in 1776. He mentioned about canons of taxation in his book. Okay. What do you mean by canon of taxation? What do you mean by canon? See, canon means a characteristic, a quality. Canon simply implies quality or a characteristic feature. So according to Adam Smith, in his Wealth of Nations, he has mentioned 4 principles of good taxation system. Means a taxation system, a country's taxation system should consist of these 4 qualities. Only then we can say that it is a good taxation system. Okay, what are those 4 conditions? What are those 4 characteristics or qualities? Canon of equity. Canon means principle, quality, characteristic feature. Canon of certainty, canon of convenience, canon of economy. These 4 characteristic features make a country's taxation system as a good one, according to Adam Smith. But afterwards, modern economists also mentioned other canons. Means canon of elasticity, canon of productivity, canon of variety, canon of simplicity, canon of diversity, canon of uniformity, canon of coordination. These are the other qualities mentioned by modern economists. Okay, so about them we will learn in our next class. But for the time being, you should understand that canon means characteristic feature or quality. So qualities of a good taxation system. These are the qualities of a good taxation system. Okay. So in today's class, what we have learned, dear students, we have learned about indirect taxation system. Okay. Indirect taxation system we have learned. Indirect tax, the meaning, advantages, disadvantages, and we have been introduced about the concept of canons of taxation. So why taxes are levied, why taxes are imposed, that also we came to know. Okay, I hope you understood the lesson very well. In our next class, we will meet again. Now, if you want, if you have any doubts, you can interact with me. If you have any doubts, if you are unable to speak with me, if you are feeling shy, what you can do is in the YouTube chat box also, you can pose questions. Okay, in comments section, you can type your question or any query is there, means you can type there. I will give reply in the class. Okay, so we have discussed about direct and indirect taxes, and now we are going to discuss about canons of taxation. Okay, thank you very much, dear students. Thank you very much, dear friends.